On a day unlike any other, we're getting to see the fallout from Nico Iamaleava's attempted holdout at Tennessee. Perhaps some would say he got exactly what he wanted. More, I think, would say he got exactly what he deserved. So what does Mario Cristobal and Dan Lanning have to do with any of this going on in Knoxville? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If that is something that you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer a question in the comment below. Do you think most football coaches have the same stance as Dan Lanning and Mario Cristobal and even Josh Heupel, as it denotes Nico Iamaleava's attempted holdout for more money? This was a perfect example of what I and other folks thought could happen and was bound to happen in a sport where it didn't seem like the end was in sight for players getting paid. We can start with the folks that claim that NIL is ruining college football. I think they are wrong. We can go to the folks that say get everything you want to get and how much you think you're worth, and I think some of that is wrong too. But timing and understanding the environment, reading the room, being on the right tire at the right time is everything in college football, just as it is in my other favorite sport, Formula One. It's more like, Nico, you can't be Nico Hulkenberg out here. You can't. So for those of y'all that do not understand, and I'm going to come back around to us, I swear, I promise. Dan Lanning thing's going to get there. Nico Iamaleava might be a top 10 quarterback according to some. Might be. And if he is, he's in the bottom half of that top 10. Top 15, sure, on potential and talent alone. You can do that. But given the numbers that he put up last year and the kind of offense that they ran last year, he was not the most important cog in that wheel. He was an important cog in that wheel, but the most important cog in that wheel was Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson, tailback, going to the NFL, had an outstanding year as a volunteer. And frankly, had the man played a little bit better, and Ashton Jeanty had not rushed for 2,600 yards, we might be talking about him being the Doak Walker Award winner. He was that crucial. He was that good. On the other side of that, you had an outstanding defense, particularly your defensive line with Tim Banks in them. And you had a Thorpe Award finalist in the secondary. But Nico Hulkenberg has been racing Formula One for 15 years. He's taken exactly one pole position, and I'm not kidding. 251 races in Formula One without a single podium. That is wild. That is Chase Daniels levels of finessing the game. Like, I'm not kidding. That is getting paid to sit in the seat and do nothing. Nada. Zip. So why does Nico Hulkenberg keep getting drives? One, he's German, and he drives for owners and manufacturers that love having a German in the car, like Sebastian Vettel, like Michael Schumacher, like Nico Rosberg. And he doesn't crash cars. He doesn't crack up the car. So he never costs you money. You can expect him to bring the car back in one piece. And that matters more than so much other of this. How much nonsense we got to put up with. Nico's never in headlines for bad things. He's always the consummate teammate. He drives the car fast enough to not embarrass you. And every now and again, he'll outperform the car like he did at Haas last year. But no podiums is no podiums in 251 Grand Prix. That, again, is a wild statistic for a guy who has raced for almost everybody. Williams, Renault, back when it was still Renault, Haas, now Sauber, which will be Audi. Nico Iamaleava is headed toward that place, right? So the one thing that he might be able to say is, I played in the college football playoff. But even the folks at Tennessee don't think that that was so much you as it was Heupel. Understand the offense, run the offense, Tim Banks, really making the defense into something we didn't think that defense could be, aside from its defensive line that we knew was going to be great, right? Then you get the overvaluation of your own self here, okay? You haven't looked at what you were able to do and given yourself an honest evaluation. 2,600 yards, 19 TDs. You know, it's just not, it's not 3,800. It's not 3,540. If this was Shedeur Sanders, he would be crucified. Same way that people are crucifying Nico Iamaleava. The same way in which some people will still talk about Shedeur on the record and what he can or can't do. But even Dan Lanning did not even want to broach the subject of Nico Iamaleava in Oregon. This news came from Pete Thamel at ESPN, who said, hey, his people reached out to Oregon. Oregon said, well, we cool on that. We straight. So they brought that to Dan Lanning today at their spring game, and the man declined to comment. Dan Lanning ain't afraid of nothing and nobody, all right? He just did not want to deal with that mess over there, and it seems like he's not wanted to deal with the SEC at all when it comes to mess over there. Right down to, I'm good. I'm straight. We at Oregon, and we're in a good spot with Dante Moore and Austin Novosad. We're good. We're great. Then you got Mario Cristobal, who never resists an opportunity to dunk. He said, look, if you're holding out, nobody gets to do that, right? You might as well get out of the sport because that's not what this is going to be about. And every football coach that you've ever heard talk about NIL is going to tell you the same thing. They do not want to hear that come out of your mouth. It's like going up to your coach saying, why don't I get more playing time? They don't want to hear it from you any more than one of my favorite rules that Bob Stoops used to lay out to the players back in the day was freshmen at orientation. I don't want to hear from your parents ever. Not one time. I don't care. I'm your daddy now, okay? You play here, you play for me. You play with your coaches, right? You play for your teammates. I don't want to hear from your damn parents. Same difference with NIL. I don't want to hear that come out of your mouth. Somebody else might come to you, and it's probably going to be a conversation somebody else needs to have on your behalf. Agents, parents, so forth, so on. But it's all on your shoulders. It's all on your head. And that's what I think Nico Iamaleava might have lost sight of, as he's the guy that's got to get in the car. And I say this as a guy who sits behind a microphone and gets to give an opinion on camera in front of an audience that it's got 131,000 people subscribed to it and 250,000 people that routinely show up every 28 days or so to see what I have to say. And I'm humbled by that. But I also understand if I make a mistake out here, it's on my head, right? That's not up to the bosses. That's not up to anybody else. That's on me. That is why when you get into the car, it needs to be the best car. And you need to be able to drive the wheels off of it. So when you say, I am the quarterback, it's got to be on your head. It is the quarterback that takes losses. It is the coach that takes losses. Teams win. Quarterbacks take losses. Quarterbacks put it on themselves. Quarterbacks say, I have to be better. Quarterbacks have to be selfless in that way. And then on the back end, you got to trust that people are going to make up the difference for you. They're going to put you in position to succeed. They're going to pay you your value. If you don't think you're getting your value, holding out and holding your program ransom is not the way to do that. Perhaps you learned that from the NFL and that's the way you want to go do it. But even there, unless the next thing you do is win a championship, all anybody's going to do is talk noise about you forever. Like, I was really gaming this out. Assume that Nico Iamaleava has made $4 million gross over the last 2 years, just laying in the cut, okay? The idea that you got greedy and wanted more is what people are contending with. That might not be your narrative or what you were thinking. Doesn't matter. It ain't about what you believe. It's what people believe about you. If they cannot nail you to the wall on what you stand for, they will call you a liar and a cheat. You have to protect you. And the only way you can protect you is by being above board, being beyond reproach, keeping your nose clean, saying all the right things. It's exhausting. It's hard. It's tiring because you're a human being too. You got feelings. They get hurt. But it ain't time for you to go out there and start yelling about what you ain't got and what you want, or for you to not show up to practice. You want to keep having this out, keep having it out. And you can tell people about it on the back end. But what you have done now is tarnish your reputation. Is it beyond repair? No, it's not. Can you get it back? Yeah, probably. But you're not going to do it in the SEC because as soon as you decide to hold out and you get the transfer portal, perhaps nobody told you can't transfer within the SEC. So you can't play for, say, 7 of the best team, top 25, 7 of the top 25. We're keeping it conservative there. It means you got to go look in the Big 12. You got to look at the Big 10. You got to look at the ACC if you want to play Power 4 football. Notre Dame is something people are floating. Notre Dame ain't floating that. They got their guy in C.J. Carr. I don't know if you saw the spring game numbers today, but that's him. You know, the same thing can be true at Oregon. They're good. They're straight. Indiana might take a sniff, but Fernando Mendoza is still healthy, and they like him. That's good. They're good. You're going to be on somebody else's watch. The only place it feels like you might actually be able to bargain is North Carolina. But if they look around and see what I see, which is we're the only people bidding, you're not going to get the money that you thought you were going to get at Tennessee. And you're going to be dealing with a worse team. It is an expensive lesson to learn, but it's one that he can learn because he got the money. And that's what I want you to take in stock here. It ain't about getting what you are worth today. It's about setting yourself up for the next 20 years. That's not just about your education. That is about your business dealings. And that is what many people, including players, are learning right now. You have to think not just about your decision to go to college. You have to think about your decision for your retirement. When your hips are no longer there and you need the replacement. When you need the knee replacement. When you need the shoulder replacement. When your back gives out. When diabetes comes to get you, heart attack comes to get you, Any cancer comes to get you. Any number of these things that are out of your control or come from you just playing the sport for most of your life. It's difficult for a 20-year-old to think that far ahead is what they say. I don't think that. I think 20-year-olds are smart. I think a decision is made to be stupid. Now, make a decision to be intelligent. Protect your chuck. Go play for a team, love that team, win with that team, and let's see where you end up December 2025.